RAO from Thermopolis, Wyoming. You're on with Tracy and Phil, and you found God's imprint on creation in the Fibonacci sequence. Before you start, I have a question for you. Were you the person that called last time I was on that talked about double slit?
I was. And
okay.
It's great to talk to you again, Tracy.
Okay.
And
Hold. Wait. Because there's a question that came up, and I wanted to find out what your response would be. Your point was kind of like the particle exists a certain way, it goes through the slit, it exists a different way, and it's because conscious observation. Is that fair? Was that basically what you were describing?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. The question is, does God not watch photons?
Well, when you get into that, it's basically the definition of omnipotence. And does an omnipotent being have the ability to consciously not look at something for the purpose of letting us see what happens when it's not looked at?
But wouldn't the idea that it's not being observed also be contrary to the idea that a God is observing things?
Well, he's a God so powerful he can create a photon that he can't see.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if God's not looking at it, then he's making it act like he's not there looking at it. So he's actually trying to convince us that he exists by pretending that he doesn't, which is really weird.
Not pretending that it doesn't, but it's just, I'm a cook, and I have 180 degrees of vision. If I turn around, everything that I used to be able to see is invisible to me.
Yeah.
And this is me as a mortal, normal human being.
Sure.
And I would think that an omnipotent being would have the ability to not look at something for a little bit.
Then he wouldn't be omnipotent for that little bit. But and then what would happen is we would see something that makes it look like there's not an omnipotent God, right?
Well,
it looks like there's not an omnipotent God if something is not observed.
I think that means some photons would behave differently, and you could see where God is looking.
Oh, okay.
And
so we can track God's
based on
focus.
Yeah. Because they would behave differently, some that are observed.
So the ones that we see that don't change would be the ones that God is observing,
we
right?
don't know which is which. Which ones are looked at and not looked at?
It gets really simple when you get to the macro scale opposed to the quantum scale, because we're huge relative to a photon.
So is God, right?
Yeah, I've been trying to lose weight, though. It's...
Damn it, Phil, you look great. Quit with that shit.
Hey, thanks.
But it sounds like God's acting like he's not there in order to convince us that he's there.
It's not necessarily acting like it's not there. It's simply using omnipotence to change the direction of focus or limit the direction.
You don't need omnipotence. You don't need to be omnipotent to change your focus. I mean, if I believe in an omnipotent God, then that God knows everything. Right. And if I go looking for it and I find a space in the universe where God doesn't seem to be existing right now, that would be different than the God that's being defined. And it would appear to be evidence that God is not what it seems. Now you're saying, well, it could be accounted for by this other thing, but it also could be accounted for by a God's not looking at it. By there is no God looking at it.
All right. It would be the plane above us looking at us, and you see that humans are performing an experiment.
Airplane or
no, plane of existence.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just making sure. No, that's okay. I wasn't clear.
Yeah. But you're different plane of existence looking at us performing the experiment. And they're like, well, they're actually looking for us, me, it, whatever it might be.
But we're not. And I guess that thing is we're not. This wasn't a test to see if a God exists. So this was nobody looking for God.
No, the original double slit experiment
was not a search for the Lord.
Right, but it's all fourth dimensional.
Right, but you said God would see that we're looking for God, and then it would react to let us know. If God wants us to know we're there, if God is willing to tell us that he's there and he's willing to give us direct evidence of his existence, why doesn't he just present himself?
Well, it happens 50 to 80 years later. The actual quantum eraser delayed choice experiment.
I guess what I'm saying is, if God wants people to know God is there, why the hell is he making it so damn hard? Why did he make it to where we had to build these facilities to look at these particles and get this way to observe some atomic? I mean,
it didn't used to be that hard.
Yeah. How is that helping us recognize the existence of a God? It sounds like he's making it extremely complex and difficult. And then he's pretending he's not there in order to prove he is.
Back in the day, there were a lot of gaps. There was a God of the gaps, and people were confusing the God of the gaps with something on a higher plane.
Right, but you're saying God wants to present us with evidence of his existence, and that seems pretty simple. I mean, I have a cat, and I could present people with evidence of existence that they would almost universally accept.
Cat litter.
Well, just the cat itself. There's the cat.
Like that, but I smell the cat litter when I walk in.
I mean, yeah, but if God wants people to know that God exists, and God is willing to offer direct evidence that you say is like really clear, really irrefutable, right in your face, then why can't God just present?
We weren't at a state where we could accept it. We weren't smart enough. We were primitive. He was trying to teach quantum mechanics.
Now, wait a minute. God spoke to Adam, right? Like, God talked to Adam. God talked to Abraham. God presented himself to all kinds of folks.
Okay, I don't see the Abrahamic religion as being led by the same God I'm talking about. I've actually told this to one of your commenters. My opinion of Yahweh, probably an alien, definitely an asshole, most likely dead by now.
This is like Stargate talk now.
I
love that show.
I think are you associated or affiliated with any sort of religious belief?
I am.
What is your religion?
I don't have a name for it.
Okay, now wait a minute. Are you affiliated or associated with any recognized religious belief?
No.
Okay, so you've got your own religion here. You've developed your own proprietary. I mean, there's no law that says you cannot do that. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. You basically have made up your own religion.
The religion of one.
Okay. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair assessment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, hey, somebody has to start the stuff, right?
That's right.
I mean, somebody comes up with all of them, so there's always an origins or oranges. There's always an oranges for so.
We gotta respect the oranges.
Yes.
Hallowed be the Ori.
Okay, so you've got this religion, and I totally have derailed your call, but it was just such serendipity that I saw your name again on the board. So I apologize for derailing the call, but there was the question that came up.
Not a problem at all. Thank you for letting me explain it again.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I have heard people try to explain the Fibonacci sequence, and the only thing that I get is like the seashell. Right? It's like there's a seashell.
Right.
And that's about as far as I can understand it. It repeats. The seashell pattern repeats.
Before I actually started my call, I actually wanted to say something to one of your hosts because I kind of missed the date, but for bravery and valor, Matt, the threat to theism Dillahunty has reached experience level 50. I think you get like a new feat and plus 1 to 2 attributes for that.
I don't know what that even means.
He reached experience level 50 last week.
His birthday.
Oh, because he had a birthday.
Oh,
okay.
I was worried you were quite tethered to reality.
I was like, do you follow Matt in some gaming thing or what? Because I know he does games and
extra hit points.
I had no idea. Yeah. I got no clue. But yeah,
-1 for
I think he had a birthday.
I'm glad he does, though.
That he does what?
Yeah, we missed.
Sorry, what?
That he's into D&D and gaming and whatnot.
Oh, I don't know what games he plays. I just know he plays that he does. He has stuff loaded on his TV. That's as much as I know. There's things that you can play with the controller. But we're getting really sidetracked. I did sidetrack you. Would you be okay calling in again another time with the Fibonacci thing? Because we've kind of spent some time on the call, and I do apologize. I derailed it, but I felt like it would be an interesting conversation, and I hope that's okay.
It definitely was, and I can call next week if you'd like.
Thank you so much.
Anytime, I guess. You're getting kind of frequent on the calls. Maybe skip a week and then, do something fun next weekend and then call back the weekend after. Take a break.
Just a month before I called this time.
Oh, you know what, though? It seems like yesterday because it was when last time I was on.
Oh, yeah.
So it just seems like it's frequent for me. All right, well, thank you.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Phil. You all have a great one.
All right.